An Obstacle by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. I was climbing up a mountain path with many things to do, important business of my own and other people's too. When I ran against a prejudice that quite cut off the view, my work was such as could not wait. My path quite clearly showed. My strength and time were limited. It carried quite a load, and there that hulking prejudice sat all across the road. So I spoke to him politely, for he was huge and high, and begged that he would move a bit and let me travel by. He smiled, but as for moving, he didn't even try. And then I reasoned quietly, with that colossal mule, my time was short, no other path. The mountains, winds.
Hi, this is Celeste, and I'm going to do a reaction video of a poem by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and she wrote this poem called An Obstacle. So I can imagine myself being a woman at the time. In the 19th century, the women considered to be just a second gender. They don't have a voice. They depend on their male counterpart. So at the time when Gilman wrote that poem, she experienced those inequality between a man and a woman. So she wrote there about I was climbing up a mountain path with many things to do, important business of my own and other people's too. I can envision here a woman, not only a woman, not only a wife, but also a friend and a parent, maybe a servant or an owner of a business. So she has a lot of roles in life, and also she carried quite a lot of load. It is like a saying that the woman's work is never end that easily. Like if you're a parent, if especially if you're a woman, your work doesn't end when you go to sleep. Sometimes you have to prepare for the things that your children need the next day, and what will be your husband's things that he will be needing tomorrow morning, especially if you're not only a wife or a mother, but also you have a business, for example. So your load is never ending as a woman, and clearly Gilman experienced those things. And the obstacle represent a prejudice or a prejudice that the society treated women at the time um, as a second gender. Like they're only allowed to do the things that they're required to do, like staying at home to take care of their husband and children, and to just do the things that they're allowed to do. It's limited. It's limited. Unlike the men, they are trusted with a lot of responsibilities, and their strength or power is not questionable because of their physical power. I mean, they don't give a doubt to the women, to the man's strength, because physically we know that man's strength is more powerful than women. Like I said, at the time, the women and the men have an inequality, and that's what Gilman wants to express on her poem. And the poet Gilman lived in a society where the woman depends on men. but not all women at the time were dependent on the men, because there were like authors like the Bronte sister, that they don't depend or they don't forget their skill or their talent. They never forget their passions in writing. So they do um, they do change their names into a man's name. Like they have a pseudonym just to publish their works. So they never forget their talent just because they're women. So for me, an obstacle is about symbolism of the women's rights during the 19th century. And if I will be the woman at the time, I think I will be a feminist. I will not just, say yes to everything. If ever to my husband, I will really find my voice. And I think it's a very nice poem, because Charlotte Perkins Gilman really expressed the feeling of a woman when when the society is the last line about I take off my hat, and I take off my hat, and then I move forward as if he is not standing there. Like she gained her strength and her own voice, that she pushes herself, or she given an inspiration that it's time for her to voice out whatever she wants to express. Like she was not scared of what the society are going to think of her. It reminds me of the writers in the century, like Jane Austen, and the Bronte sisters. Like they're being women doesn't limit them to write, to follow their passion. Just like Gilman, she still continue her passions in writing, and she believed that the men only have the physical power, but when it comes to emotional power, it's us women who have the voice, and we have the strength for that part, and that's the thing that we should be proud of as a woman. So that's my reaction video about the poem. So what do you think?